dear ones. Today I'd like to bring in Louise Hay again, one of my favorite inspirational women. If you don't know anything about her, please do look her up, and if you are able to, please do get the book You Can Heal Your Life, because I can guarantee you it will change your life completely. So today we're going to look at relationships and the relationship with ourselves, and of course it culminates and it brings together everything that we have been dealing with in the last little while as we went through our chakras and we saw how we developed those chakras and what we experienced, what might be blocking them, and as at the ages of what we developed when we developed our chakras, what we might have been dealing with at that particular time. So that is culminated then within the shadow work, and now we're going to be doing work on the relationships with ourself. And as I say, we're going to have an exercise included in this particular one as well. So life is all about relationships, as you well know. Relationships with either family or friends, work colleagues. We have relationships with our memories. So we have relationships with situations, places, things, and you even have a relationship with me in the video that you're watching at the moment. And all of these reflect the relationship with yourself. And that is deeply influenced by the relationship that you had with the adults that were around you when you were growing up as a child. You watched them, you watched their relationships with themselves, with situations, with people, with places, with things, and especially the relationship with you. But mostly you watched them having a relationship with each other and what was acceptable, what wasn't acceptable, etc. And when we did shadow work, we realized that there was a lot of the scolding voices that we heard in our head was actually from one of our parents, the words of one of our parents echoing in our minds and in our hearts. So the question now is, do you use the same words, like the scolding words that you use that echo in your head? Do you use those same type of words to praise yourself? Do you even take the time to praise yourself? Do you praise yourself? Are you able to even accept compliments? Or do you brush them off as, If you don't praise yourself, why? Why don't you praise yourself? The question is, do you actually know how to praise yourself? I think that's a very important question, and one that you seriously have to answer very, very honestly as well. Now, I'm not putting any blame on any parents whatsoever, but remember, we are formed in our formative years, and we carry through a lot of that learning and a lot of that knowledge from that time in our life right up until the day we die. So it's very important, when you actually chat to somebody who is a lot older than you, you'll find that the memories that they have of their childhood are very vivid, very clear. So those formative years are very important, and the way that were brought up and the agreements that we had, that we bought into, that our parents presented to us or sold to us, are what creates who we are today. Now, as I said, I'm not putting any blame at all on our parents. As Louise Hay says, we're all victims of victims, right? And no one can teach you what they do not know. And I want you to let that sink in. No one can teach you what they didn't know. So your parents did the best they could at the time with the knowledge that they had. And the knowledge they had would probably be different than if you had a sibling that came along after you a long time later. So those of you who have large families and perhaps who are the eldest, or you have big age gaps in between yourself and your siblings, perhaps you were a little bit of a late oops and you've got a lot of older siblings, and you might actually find that you benefit from that very, very much, because all of the other kids that came before were training wheels for bringing you up at the end of the day. Relationships are actually only mirrors of ourselves. So someone actually claimed that every major relationship we have is a reflection of the relationship we've had with one of our parents, and in some cases with both. So you might find yourself having a relationship with a man, and that reflects your relationship with your father. You might have a relationship with a woman, and that relationship might be reflected in your relationship that you had with your mother. So what we attract, what relationship we attract, mirrors the beliefs that we have about relationships, whether it is with our boss, our colleague, our friend, our lover, and indeed even our own children. So I'm going to ask you now to get ready for an exercise. Look for a moment at someone in your life. So this exercise is called Us versus Them. Look for a moment at someone in your life who bothers you, somebody who irritates the living daylights out of you. It might be a colleague, it could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be a family member, it could be somebody extended, it could just be somebody that you know that really, really gets your goat, that grates you to the extent that irritates you beyond reason. Describe 3 things about this person that you don't like. Things that you want him or her to change. 3 things. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about that. And of course, you know by now that with these videos, it's always good to have your journal ready to take down notes or to write down things that you need to remember. So now look deeply inside of you and ask yourself, where am I like that? Okay, that's an important question. Where am I like that person that irritates me? And when do I do the same things? And now close your eyes and give yourself the time to answer this. And then ask yourself, are you willing to change? Are you? Are you willing to change? And when you remove these patterns, habits, and beliefs from your thinking and behavior, either the person will change or he or she will leave your life. If you have a boss who's critical and impossible to please, look within. Either you do that same thing on some level, or you have a belief that bosses are always critical and impossible to please. If you have an employee who is insubordinate and won't listen to you or doesn't follow through on the tasks that you give them, go within. Go within and find out what it is and clean it up. It's time. It's time to let go of that. There's no use stalling your change anymore. This is the hard work that the 5 Reiki principles speaks about. It's hard work on yourself every single day. If you really want to affect real change within yourself, then you have to work at it every single day. No days off, because you are worth it, are you not? If there's anything else in this world that is worth doing something, you are worth your love more than anybody else. You are, even Buddha said so. So if you have a friend who's undependable and lets you down, go within. Where in your life are you undependable? And where do you let others down? Is that your belief, perhaps? If you perhaps have a lover who's cold and sometimes unloving, look to see if there's a belief within you that comes from watching your parents in your childhood that says love is cold and undemonstrative. If you have a situation where you are constantly arguing with your partner, was it your parents who were constantly arguing and that was the example they set for you? Remember, you can't teach something you don't know, and if that's all that you know, then that's all that you're going to do. We do the best we can with the knowledge that we have at the time. And when you're only trickle-fed knowledge, you can only react to the things that you know. And if you don't know any better, that's where we can't assume. Do not make assumptions. Ask the questions. And even then, sometimes we're only getting what the person is willing to tell us and not necessarily the truth. If you perhaps have a spouse who is nagging and non-supportive, again, look at your childhood beliefs. Did you have a parent who was nagging and unsupportive? Are you that way in any aspect, in any facet of the diamond that is you? Perhaps you even have a child that has habits that irritate you. I can guarantee you that those are your habits. Oh yes, children learn only by imitating the adults that are around them. Clear it within you, and you'll find that they change automatically. And this is the only way to change other people, by changing ourselves. Change only comes from within. And we've got to change ourselves first, and others will either meet us where we're at or will disappear from our lives because they no longer vibrate at that particular frequency. Change your patterns, and you will find that they are different. The other people. If you change your patterns, you will find that other people react to you differently. Blame is useless. Do not blame anybody, because the only thing that we can do about anything is in this moment. The power is in the present moment. That's why it's called a gift. The present is called a gift. You know what I mean. I messed that one up a little bit there. So with blaming only gives away your power, and you really want to keep your power because it's precious. Without power, we cannot make changes. The helpless victim can never see a way out. So dear ones, base your foundation on the 4 agreements. And please, if you haven't read the book and you're not a reader, get the audio book. Make sure that you get it into your brain in some way, shape or form. Please, because it will change your life. You do not have to agree with the things that you thought were real and true, with the knowledge that you had in your childhood. You have grown now. It's time to change that knowledge as well, to upgrade it, change and evolve. That's what we're here for. And remember the 5 Reiki principles, please, just for today. Do not worry, do not anger. Be kind to all living things, be grateful for everything you have, and work honestly and hard on yourself. I hope you enjoyed that. Much love.